weeks after the regressively conservative Supreme Court struck down his ambitious student loan forgiveness program, President Biden has officially unveiled his second comprehensive attempt to save a bunch of money for student borrowers. But before we dive into that, if you haven't yet, please hit that like, subscribe, and the alert bell, and maybe check out my Patreon. I'd appreciate the support. So, weeks ago or months ago, I can't exactly remember because time flies, the Supreme Court behaved, I think, as most people expected them to do, which is to bend over backwards judicially to strike down the president's student loan forgiveness program. And boy, did they. They went so far as to grant standing to a petitioner that many constitutional experts and many legal experts say didn't actually have standing before the court. That's how eager, that's how zealous they were to try to kill this particular program. And President Biden announced, he gave public remarks, I think either the same day or maybe the day afterwards, where he was like, listen, I disagree with this decision. It's ridiculous, but you know what? I'm going to try. We expected that this might be the case. So we're going to try a different approach to try to save borrowers money. And so what we're seeing now is kind of the unveiling of that next attempt, and it's a program called SAVE, or Saving on a Valuable Education. The Biden administration has launched a beta application for its new repayment plan for student loan borrowers. The SAVE plan is an income-driven repayment plan that may cut many borrowers' previous monthly payments in half and will leave some people with no monthly bill. The Department of Education says borrowers can begin rolling in it now in what it calls the most affordable repayment plan yet. Now, this is a beta program. I think it will go into effect either in August or September officially. But those who apply now, and they said it should take about 10 minutes, you apply one time. You won't have to renew the application every year. It's a one-time thing. It takes about 10 minutes. And if you do it during the beta program, they can stress test it, see the influx, see the computational stressors in the program for the applicants, and it will stay. You will not have to do it again. So it's not like you test the beta and then once the program goes live, you have to do it again. So they're going ahead and unveiling it now and rolling it now. In terms of how it works, instead of paying 10% of their discretionary income a month towards their undergraduate student debt under the previous revised pay-as-you-earn repayment plan, borrowers will eventually be required to pay just 5% of their discretionary income under the SAVE plan. Those who make less than $15 an hour won't need to make any payments under the new options, says the Department of Education. The SAVE plan is very generous to borrowers, almost like a grant after the fact, said higher education expert Mark Kantrowitz. So this is really good. I don't know enough about President Biden's previous plan. I mean, I knew enough that it was going to, for I think it was up to $20,000 in targeted relief. But in terms of the breakdowns between this plan and that plan, I'm not sure how it comes out in the watch. I would expect that this plan will save money for fewer borrowers. But I actually read in one of the CNN articles about the fact that it will actually add up to 1 million more 1 million more borrowers, if I remember correctly, which would be pretty, The Department of Education estimates this means that more than 1 million additional borrowers will qualify for $0 payments under the plan. So this may very well be structured in a way that in some ways it's actually better than the first plan, which the Supreme Court struck down. So obviously, again, this is in beta. I don't know, if there will be any technical challenges as there was with the Obamacare sign-up sheet like more than a decade ago. I think 14 years ago or however long ago it was. I mean, that was extremely complicated. Hopefully they have learned their lessons since. There won't be any issues with this. But to me, it says something that President Biden and Democrats are trying to push forward with this and trying to bring student loan relief to borrowers who are struggling because as part of the Fiscal Responsibility Act, the debt ceiling negotiations that President Biden negotiated with congressional Republicans, which again, even though I think he got the better end of the deal, and even Republicans believe that too, that Biden played McCarthy. Obviously, I wish Biden hadn't come to the table in the first place and simply invoked the 14th Amendment, but I don't want to relitigate the past. But one of the terms that the president made or had to concede to, one of the few concessions, was that student loan repayment plans would resume later this year. But he'd also already said that that was going to be the case when he unrolled the plan that was struck down eventually by the Supreme Court last year. So he basically, the concession he made was one he already made, so he didn't actually give away anything new. But one of the cool things about this plan is you won't accrue any penalties for late repayment. So even if under this plan, the SAVE Act, you do have to pay something back if you're late, there won't be any penalty. Okay, so it just seems to me that this is something. This is progress of a sort. Now, again, many people, many progressive politicians, and certainly even progressive attorneys say that there's actually a legal basis for, under the Higher Education Act of, I think, 1965, for the president to just wipe out all student loan debt. But that's also highly contested by other more conservative legal scholars. And certainly in this Supreme Court, I wouldn't be surprised if they struck it down just like that. Actually, as a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if there are attempts to challenge even this plan by President Biden. So there's no telling what the future may hold, but I do think this constitutes a good faith effort by the president to proceed with student loan debt relief. And that's good, again, for Democrats. And hopefully eligible voters will remember this attempt by the president in 2024 and reward him and Democrats accordingly.